Part 75. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 741. Lu Yuyu suppressed her excitement and quickly replied to Wen Qiao with her fingers, on the bed, when you begged for mercy, did you do anything? This time it was Wen Qiao's turn to choke, and a mouthful of seafood soup overflowed from the corner of her mouth. Fu Nanli slowly took out a tissue and wiped her mouth. Eat well and don't hold your phone all the time. Wen Qiao glanced at him, then looked down at the words on the bed on the phone screen, and then thought of what he said, call daddy. What was terrible was that there were still pictures in her mind. His face burned. Wen Qiao, who are you chatting with? Wen Qiao hesitated, with Lu Yuyu. Why is your face so red? The floor heating is turned on too much. Fu Nanli reached for her mobile phone. Did we talk about some inappropriate topic for children? Wen Qiao pressed his phone and said, it's not because of you. What's wrong with me? His voice was low and endearing, causing the temperature on Wen Qiao's face to rise 2 more degrees. I didn't understand what you said about calling daddy in other places, so I consulted Yuyu. Fu Nan was stunned. He had such a silly girlfriend and discussed such things with others. What should he do? If you don't understand anything in the future, just ask me directly. Wen Qiao pouted, I won't ask you, I'll ask online. Fu Nanli put down his chopsticks, picked up a tissue and wiped his mouth gently. Then he stood up, walked to her side, and picked her up. Wen Qiao stretched out her hand and put her arm around his shoulders. What are you doing? Give my ignorant little girlfriend some knowledge about men and women. In the evening, my little girlfriend sat on the sofa in the room, shook her sore wrist, and looked at someone sadly. The eldest young master felt a little satisfied and sat next to her to read the plan. If you have any questions in the future, just ask me directly, okay? Wen Qiao raised her foot to kick him, but he grabbed her ankle. It was delicate and white, and every inch of her skin was perfect. Are you still making trouble? Wen Qiao pursed his lips and remained silent. Snowflakes were falling outside, dim light shone through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and the room was quiet. Wen Qiao received a text message on her phone, and she swiped it away to read. Fu Nanli is not the only one in this world who is your medicine, but also Gu Xiao. You must stay with Fu Nanli because of blood. He and Gu Xiao are brothers, their blood is the same. A message from the network IP made Wen Qiao's heart skip a beat, and the smile on his face suddenly froze. Fu Nanli keenly caught the change in her expression and asked tentatively, what's wrong? Wen Qiao thought about it and put the phone in front of him. Fu Nanli's heart skipped a beat. The first reaction in my mind was that it was from Hizawei. This is his revenge. Gu Xiao knew that he could save Qiao Er by his side, so Hizawei probably also knew. After Qiao Er was rescued by him from Central City, she asked him about it before, and his answer was, he was also the one who rescued her at that time. He did not mention the third person. Not long ago, he didn't confess to her after he found out that it was Gu Xiao who saved her. Now the evidence came directly to her. The former little liar. The biggest liar today. The same thing is that their vests were finally taken off. So is what he said true? Fu Nanli looked directly at her. It's true. Wen Qiao twirled his fingers, so it was Gu Xiao who saved me in Zhongchen before. Although he didn't want to admit it, Fu Nanli had to admit to her, it was more than 13 days when I found you. At that moment, it was Gu Xiao who really saved you. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 742. Wen Qiao was a little confused, so it's really because you are brothers and because you two have similar blood, that Gu Xiao can also save me. Fu Nanli's jawline tightened, yes. Wen Qiao moved closer to him, then you lied to me, didn't you? Fu Nanli held her hand and said, yes. Wen Qiao saw that his expression was complicated, and worry was looming in his eyes. What are you worried about? Maybe he was worried that she would leave him because of his lies? Then we'll be clean. Her words made Fu Nanli couldn't help but raise his eyes and look at her twice. What? Didn't I lie to you before? You didn't leave me because I lied to you, and I certainly won't leave you because you lied to me. Fu Nanli's heart was filled with emotion. He thought that at least there would be accountability and investigation, or at least there would be a commotion. Don't you blame me? Wen Qiao held his chin and looked at him. You didn't lie to me to hurt me. You lied to me just because you were worried about me and worried that I would be dependent on others. How could you think of me like this? Do I still have to be angry? Fu Nanli was speechless. So you think I had to stay with you to fall in love with you? That was true at first, but then you still didn't believe me. Fu Nanli touched her face. I just wanted to be your only one, but then I found out that Gu Xiao could also save you, which made me feel at ease. This way at least you have double protection. If I have any shortcomings, there are others in the world who can save you. Wen Qiao frowned and covered his mouth with his hand. Don't lie, you won't have any shortcomings. Even if there is one person in the world who can save me, you are the only one for me. Fu Nanli hugged the person and said, I have asked Zhou Jin to research the blood. Since Gu Xiao and I can save you, it should be the cause of the blood. Wen Qiao looked at him with a smile. I haven't been ill for a long time. I almost forgot about it. They were together every now and then, and had never been apart for more than 7 days, so she had somewhat let down her guard. Fu Nanli frowned deeply. I hope Zhou Jin can develop a treatment method as soon as possible. Wen Qiao, definitely. Dr. Zhou himself said that he is very powerful. I believe him. Fu Nanli chuckled. Well, I also hope he can research it, and I hope there will be results next summer. Wen Qiao calculated this. There is still half a year until next summer. Time flies really fast. The text message attack failed to drive a wedge between them. The other party can only admit defeat. It's just that young Master Fu has become even more of a wife slave. He used to be able to teach his little girlfriend a lesson. After all, his little girlfriend couldn't live without him. Now, if he dares to teach her a lesson again and his little girlfriend takes all the trouble to find someone else, then he really is shooting yourself in the foot. Grandma Gu was naturally worried about Gu Xiao's sudden disappearance. Although it was certain that He Ziwei had taken him away, Fu Nanli still sent people to Country M to find the whereabouts of He Ziwei and Gu Xiao. But there was no news for a while. Wen Qiao could only comfort Grandma Gu. Gu Xiao asked to go to Country M after he woke up. He didn't want to face his mother and wanted to go to Country M for some quiet time. When he figured it out, he would come back. Don't worry too much. Grandma Gu's eyes were red and she held Wen Qiao's hand. Xiao Wen, I really feel sorry for you and Mr. Fu. Wen Qiao was heartbroken. She hated the old man being like this the most, and quickly comforted her. Don't say that, Nan Li didn't take it to heart. Although he didn't say it, in fact he wanted to get along well with Gu Xiao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 743. The old man couldn't stop crying. It's precisely because you were so generous to Ah Xiao that the kid was like that. I feel sorry for you. You let him play games in the club regardless of the past grudges. Mr. Fu didn't care about the grudges of the previous generation. Just look at him lightly. This kid is too sensitive, but I know that he is actually not evil, he just wants to be recognized by others. Wen Qiao patted the old man's back gently. I hope he can come back after he has figured it out abroad. I hope he can put aside all grudges and live a simple life. Will that day come? Wen Xiao, yes. The feud between Gu Yunzu and the Fu family officially kicked off. Ye Mingkai's legal team sent her a lawyer's letter, formally prosecuting her for defrauding huge amounts of property. The evidence was conclusive. He was quickly taken into custody by the prosecutor's office. There are many rich families in Haikan who want to replace the Fu family and become the first conglomerate, such as the Wu family of the Second Airline Company, and the Shui family, which runs the largest entertainment company in the country. Therefore, Gu Yunzu also has financial support behind him. This lawsuit is very stalemate. Who has the Fu family been afraid of? He just took this opportunity to deal with his opponent and Gu Yunzu together. Over there, the lawsuit between the Gu and Fu families was going on vigorously. Here Zhou Tao's fairy tale drama King Yuxing has been officially announced, and the leading actor is none other than Junling, who is cooperating with her in commercials. Junling is also very popular in the entertainment industry, but he is also restless. His family was once a wealthy family, but later went bankrupt. He entered the entertainment industry to help his family pay off their debts. Although he became an actor, his desire to become a boss still persists. So this is why he often seeks out consortiums for investment in various projects with some whimsical ideas. In the eyes of those financial groups, he was a liar and a speculator. But Junling felt that he relied on his ability to earn a living, so how could he be considered a liar? Are there any liars who are as motivated as him and insist on their dreams? He is very handsome. Although he is a pure Z countryman, he looks a bit mixed race. He has a high nose and deep eyes, and he is also tall. To be honest, when he entered the entertainment industry, there were many female bosses who wanted to hire him, but he never gave in. He only wanted to revive the family business with the projects he came up with. Isn't this a kind of positive energy? At Nanqiao Entertainment Company, Zhou Tao is reading the script. Qing Yuxing, a fairy tale drama, tells the story of a three-life love story between the heroine and the greatest war god in heaven. It poses a great challenge to the heroine's character, and she has to spend a lot of time studying it. Script: try to figure out the heroine's character. Wen Xiao poured a glass of water for her. When will you join the team? I'm going to take my final makeup photos tomorrow. I'll go to the film and television city to start filming on the third day of the Lunar New Year. Lu Yuyu said with interest, I think Junling is good, and he matches you in appearance. A fairy tale with handsome men and beautiful women, as long as the costumes and styles are reliable, it will definitely be a hit. Zhou Tao smiled slightly and said, Junling is pretty good. I have co-produced commercials with him and it is quite easy to get along with him. Junling was very poor, 2 years older than her, very familiar with her, and he took good care of her. As long as she didn't get along with Lu Wenzhou, her life would be much easier. Why would she bother wasting her time on a man who would never like her anyway? Wen Xiao said that she is very beautiful, and she thinks she has acting skills. Chasing her dream seems to be more meaningful than relying on a man. She completely woke up. Lu Yuyu added, but compared with your husband Lu Wenzhou, I feel that he is still a bit less interesting. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 744. Wen Xiao, Different Types. I think Junling is more to my liking after all. She and Mr. Lu had some unpleasant encounters several times. Mr. Lu had a dark face all day long, but she still likes sunny and cheerful men. Handsome guy. Mr. Fu. Junling, right? On the blacklist. Zhou Tao turned over a page of the script and said flatly, Lu Wenzhou is no longer my husband. Lu Yuyu, who was drinking water, almost spat the water on Zhou Tao's face. Wen Xiao took out a tissue and handed it to Lu Yuyu. Lu Yuyu was stunned. What do you mean? Zhou Tao's eyes were still on the script, literally. Lu Yuyu's eyes widened. Divorced. Zhou Tao nodded, yes, divorced. Lu Yuyu and Wen Qiao looked at each other with complicated eyes, and for a moment they didn't know what to say. 3 cups of milk tea were delivered. Wen Qiao took a cup of Zhi Man Mang and took a sip, occasionally glancing at Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao took a cup of Zhi berry, felt 2 burning eyes, and finally looked up at them. It's been half a month since we left. Lu Yuyu gossiped cautiously, why are you leaving? Second Master Lu is very handsome. Zhou Tao forced a smile, I have always been a coward. He doesn't like me, and I have always been a unilateral stalker. I got married because his grandfather liked me very much and asked him to get married. In fact, I thought it would be like in romance novels, that once you get married, you can fall in love for a long time, but reality gave me a loud slap in the face. In a marriage without feelings, even if we are together every day, we will only look at each other and we will not fall in love for a long time. Wen Qiao felt a little heavy. Zhou Tao said it calmly, but it could be heard that she was actually unhappy. Lu Yuyu patted her shoulder, you, don't say that either. After getting married, I was the only one living in his mansion. He never came back. Then he came to Heiken to find Lu San, so he had an excuse to stay in Heiken. It was difficult for me to even see him. This was only in name only. There was no point in maintaining my marriage, so I gave up. When she was in school, Zhou Tao liked to be alone and had friends around her, but most of them were plastic sisters. She never confided her feelings to anyone. She also has a reserved personality, but to Lu Yuyu and Wen Qiao, she spoke so naturally about what happened between her and Lu Wenzhou. She herself felt a little surprised. Lu Yuyu slapped the table, Lu Wenzhou is so blessed that he doesn't know how to be blessed. He has such a beautiful wife, but he doesn't come home. Well, he is divorced. There will be times when he will regret it in the future. Zhou Tao smiled, he didn't seem to regret it, he just breathed a sigh of relief. I shouldn't have forced him to marry someone he didn't like in the first place. From now on, let's treat him as a stranger. Wen Qiao patted her on the shoulder, you are young and beautiful, and you will definitely meet someone better. Lu Yuyu, I think Junling is pretty good. Let me tell you, there are quite a few passionate kissing scenes in the show Qingyu Xing, which can help cultivate feelings. Zhou Tao chuckled, I have no feelings for him. I feel like this can be cultivated. Zhou Tao forced a smile, let's not talk about emotional matters, now I just want to work hard for my career. In Country Z, there has always been a saying that the Southern Fu family and the Northern Lu family can compete with the Fu family, and it is almost the Lu family in the Beijing area. The 2 companies each hold the largest real estate company in the country. Fujia mainly consists of residential buildings and office buildings. Luya mainly focuses on shopping malls, as well as road and bridge projects. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 745. When it comes to financial resources, the 2 families are evenly matched, and when it comes to power, the Lu family makes no concessions. The Lu family naturally has a branch in Heiken. Mirroring the Fu family's skyscrapers, it is the Lu family's building in the most prosperous CBD business district. Those 2 buildings are enough to become Heiken's landmark buildings. After Zhou Tao and Lu Wenzhou divorced, Zhonglina invited Lu Wenzhou to dinner several times, but he refused every time. He was invited to participate just to make Zhou Tao enlightened and propose divorcing him. Now that the divorce was successful, why did he have to go to that kind of party and socialize with people in vain? Just leave these things to the people under him. But just because he doesn't go doesn't mean Zhonglina won't come. The assistant's call came in, Ms. Zhong wants to see you. Lu Wenzhou clicked the mouse and pressed his eyebrows, I said I was in a meeting and not free. Zhonglina's voice came through the receiver, Brother Wenzhou, I'm just outside your office. I'm going in. After saying that, he hung up the phone, and then there was a knock on the door. Before he could speak, the door opened a crack, and Jeanlina poked her head in, with an accusatory tone, "Liar, you said you were in a meeting." "Lu Wenzo, there is indeed a meeting going on soon." Jeanlina walked over and said, "I have a party tonight and I need a male partner. Brother Wenzo, can you attend with me?" Lu Wenzo's eyes were still on the document in his hand, without raising his head, and his voice was indifferent. "Why do you have so many dinner parties to attend?" Jeanlina acted coquettishly, "Hey, aren't all celebrities like this? Doesn't your sister often attend parties in Kyoto? She often shares it with me." Lu Wenzo said calmly, "I have something to do tonight, so I really can't attend." Jeanlina moved the chair opposite her desk, leaned half of her body on her desk, took out her mobile phone and showed it to him. "It's the little star Jotao who tried to seduce you last time. Their TV series has started filming, and they have a kick-off party, because my friend invested a little money, so he asked me to come with him. Don't you want to go with me to show some face to these 18th liners? They dare to hook up with anyone, it's really shameless." Only then did Lu Wenzo's eyes shift from the document in his hand to Jeanlina's cell phone. It was an official announcement picture. Junling, who had failed to raise funds from him, was holding Jotao. The background was splendid peach blossoms, Jotao was smiling and humming, and Junling was looking at her affectionately. "It's a good match. Stupid woman, not only did she work with that liar in commercials, but now they also film TV together. Brother Wenzo, are you going? The dinner is being held at the Cheng family's beachside villa, which is not far from where you live." Lu Wenzo relaxed and said, "Then I'll go with you." Jeanlina's voice became more coquettish, "I knew Brother Wenzo was the best to me." At 7 o'clock in the evening, Wenqiao and Lu Yuyu accompanied Jotao to the seaside villa and Akudeo villa. Luxury cars gathered at the door. The Cheng family was one of the investors in Qingyu House and specially organized this dinner. Speaking of which, he also wanted to get some celebrities together. For example, Mr. Xiao Cheng's main purpose was to chat with Wenqiao, so that he could be involved with the Fu family. Businessmen are always looking for profit. Wenqiao was originally too lazy to socialize, but today he mainly spends time with beauties. Wenqiao's car stopped at the door of the brightly lit villa. The three of them were all wearing coats. A doorman came to open the door. When the three of them got out of the car, they heard a voice from behind, "Jotao." Jotao turned around and smiled slightly, "You're here." Following closely behind them was Junling. Junling was wearing a camel-colored long coat, and he looked very handsome. He walked up to Jotao, and Jotao introduced him. Junling smiled and said, as expected, "Beautiful women play with beautiful women." Although his mouth was a bit fancy and his eyes were a bit romantic, they were not offensive. Wenqiao's first impression of this person was not bad. The sound of a car engine came from behind again. Wenqiao turned around and saw a familiar Rolls-Royce with a familiar license plate number. The Lu family's license plate number. The doorman stepped forward and opened the door. The first person to get out of the car was Jeanlina, followed by Lu Wenzo. Continue at noon. Please give me a monthly ticket. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 746. Lu Wenzo was wearing a long black coat, and the dim floor lamp lit up behind him. His face looked deep and meaningful. Jeanlina walked around the car, walked to Lu Wenzo, and naturally took his arm. Jotao lowered his head and smiled. How much Lu Wenzo hated her, even though he was divorced, he still insisted on coming over to show off his affection to Jeanlina. She also reached out and took Junling's arm. In the cold wind, Lu Wenzhou squinted his eyes slightly and his eyes fell on her hands. The two of them had already walked in front of Zhou Tao and the others. Zhou Tao remained calm, showing no signs of panic, and even nodded slightly, with an impeccable smile. Zhonglina rolled her eyes. There were so many tricks. Brother Wenzhou felt it was a waste of energy to look at her even more. He hated female stars in the entertainment industry who stalked and had no bottom line. Today she is pestering Lu Er, tomorrow she is pestering Lu San, and now she is probably tied to the male star of the same crew. She has no moral integrity at all. Without waiting for Lu Wenzhou to respond, Zhou Tao and Junling entered the villa together. Junling whispered, "You and Mr. Lu know each other." Zhou Tao smiled, "Who doesn't know Mr. Lu? I know him, but he doesn't know me." Junling was thoughtful, but his eyes didn't look like he didn't recognize him. Lu Wenzhou looked at the backs of the two of them with a serious expression. Zhonglina said from the side, "Brother Wenzhou, look at it. The female stars in the entertainment industry today are really dirtier than the last. Zhou Tao doesn't know that either. Did she crawl into someone's bed to get this resource? She has no qualifications at all. She was the heroine in her first TV show. I don't believe it when she says she didn't crawl into the boss's bed." Lu Wenzhou's eyes were a little sinister, and his glance made Zhonglina feel a chill running down her back. Did she say something she shouldn't have said? The atrium of the villa is spacious, and the floor heating is fully turned on. Once you enter, you can take off your coat. Mr. Xiao Cheng had his eye on Wen Qiao and would talk to her from time to time. He kept asking about Fu Nanli. Wen Qiao was a little perfunctory and said, "Mr. Cheng, you should know that Nanli also has a job as a captain. He won't be here today. Coincidentally, he happened to fly to Helsinki, so he didn't have time to attend this party." Yes, of course I know. Mr. Wen, please talk to Mr. Fu and we can get together when you have time in the future. Wen Qiao raised the goblet in his hand, "You must tell him." Zhou Tao, Junling, and the director and producer were talking about the TV series. Lu Wenzhou stood in the corner with a glass of wine. Because his aura was too gloomy and scary, a few people came up to say hello, but no one dared to approach him. The waiter carrying the tray walked up to Zhou Tao. He didn't pay much attention and almost bumped into her back. Junling reached out and hugged her with a gentleman's posture. From Lu Wenzhou's perspective, Zhou Tao was in Junling's arms. She even reached out and touched Junling's shoulder. Miss Zhou is a Scorpio. Lu Wenzhou had already divorced her, and he still wanted to bring Zhonglina to stimulate her. Naturally, she was not to be outdone. The two of them were not too far apart. The chamomile was placed in a transparent glass bottle, and the crystal chandelier had a graceful shadow. Her right hand was holding onto the man's broad shoulder. Her fingers were white and slender, looking weak and boneless. The last time I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce certificate, it seemed that I was still wearing a wedding ring on my ring finger. The pair of rings were chosen by her alone. She gave one to him, but he threw it away somewhere and never wore it. She always regarded herself as Mrs. Lu and always wore the small twisted diamond ring. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 747. Only now, the ring finger was empty and she took off the ring. Lu Wenzhou narrowed his eyes slightly. There were two ladies on the side whispering, "I don't know if this Zhou Tao has any background. She was the leading heroine from the beginning. I heard that Tang Jin competed with her for a drama before and accepted the unspoken rules. Tang Jin was, after sleeping, he only got a bad resource, and Zhou Tao turned around and got a script that was easy to explode. Tang Jin must have fainted." "Absolutely. She is said to be the first sister of Shenghua, but in fact Tang Jin's resources are only average. Shenghua's resources are not good to begin with. They are good at hyping up characters. Nan Qiao is different. Wen Qiao is backed by the Fu family. What resources do you want but don't have? But this Zhou Tao is so pretty, there must be a lot of big guys in the circle who want to woo her, right? There are many good-looking big guys in Heiken. If she finds a reliable one, she won't have to worry about resources, and she won't have to worry about it. Losing money. That's true, not all female celebrities are like this. I heard that I had dinner with a boss from the employer before. I guess the price couldn't be agreed upon. Lu Wenzhou reached out and pressed his eyebrows. Zhou Tao used to be very low-key and never attended any dinner parties with Lu Wenzhou. After all, it was difficult to even meet Lu Wenzhou. At this moment, she was wearing a red dress with snow-skinned skin, black hair, and a voluptuous figure. Standing under the crystal lamp, she was very eye-catching. The producer's eyes were fixed on Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao couldn't bear the sight of this person, so he put down the goblet in his hand and whispered, "Sorry, I have to go to the bathroom." In the huge villa, the waiter took her in a circuitous way to a bathroom. She leaned in front of the marble-patterned sink and checked her makeup. Bright and impeccable, many people are watching her tonight. She took out the powder from her handbag and pressed her cheeks carelessly. If the man was gone, she would be the most beautiful woman on the street. Love and career, she always wants to grasp the same thing. After finishing her delicate makeup, she put the powder into her clutch bag, looked in the mirror again, and found it was flawless. Then she turned around and walked out of the bathroom. As soon as she walked out, a forcing figure approached, and her wrist was held with great force. She looked up and saw Lu Wenzhou's gloomy eyes. She didn't know why before, but she was always obsessed with his sculptured face. Now it seems that he has never given her a good look. Before the divorce, he always had a cold face. After the divorce, he still treated her like this. Why did he? Zhou Tao struggled to shake off his hand, but the man's strength was not enough for her to break free. She was dragged by Lu Wenzhou to a small terrace at the end of the corridor. The heating was not very effective here. Zhou Tao, who was only wearing a dress, could not help but feel frozen, but still tried hard to maintain his momentum in front of Lu Wenzhou. "Mr. Lu, what are you doing for me?" Her red lips were slightly parted, her earrings were swaying gently, her shoulder line was straight, and her collarbone was delicate and sexy. She is a great beauty with perfect skin and bones. On par with Wen Qiao, he always turns heads wherever he goes. Lu Wenzhou still held her wrist and said coldly, "Do you know who Junling is?" Zhou Tao tilted her head slightly and smiled, "Mr. Lu, can you let go of my hand first? It hurts." Her voice was slightly hoarse and sexy, and her red lips and snow-white skin made her look invisible. But she was facing Lu Wenzhou, one of the few men in the world who would not be tempted by her. Lu Wenzhou let go of her hand. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 748. Zhou Tao gently touched the wrist that was so painful from his grip, lowered his head and smiled, "Who is Junling?" "Junling is my collaborator, my colleague, he takes good care of me, and he and I are also good friends. We can talk." No, why should I tell Mr. Lu this? Who am I, Mr. Lu, who cares about my ex-wife's social circle? Doesn't Mr. Lu regret divorcing me? Lu Wenzhou's eyes were a little sinister. "What are you dreaming about?" Zhou Tao forced a smile and said, "I'm joking with you. Look at you, you can't even take a joke. Fortunately, I divorced you." His smile was coquettish and his voice was careless and playful. Lu Wenzhou's face was frighteningly gloomy. Zhou Tao brushed the curly hair hanging on her round and fair shoulders. "If nothing happens, Mr. Lu, I will have to talk to my colleagues about work matters." After saying that, he gently pushed Lu Wenzhou's shoulders away and walked past Lu Wenzhou swayingly. "Mr. Lu, the omnipotent man in Beijing circles, was almost angry to death by his ex-wife. At the end of the corridor, Junling stood there in a suit. Zhou Tao knew that the man behind him was watching, so he stretched out his hand to hold Junling's arm with a bright smile, raised his chin slightly, turned around, and completely disappeared from Lu Wenzhou's sight. "Mr. Lu, don't you regret divorcing me?" Zhou Tao lowered her head and smiled to herself. Everything had been impeccable just now, but she shouldn't have asked this question. Why humiliate yourself? It's been so long. If Lu Wenzhou doesn't like her, he will never like her. He was so neat and tidy when applying for the divorce certificate. Even when she couldn't get a taxi on the roadside on a snowy day, he was never moved. Having expectations for such a heartless man is the stupidest thing in the world. Junling said to the waiter passing by, "Can you pour her a cup of hot water?" Zhou Tao was a little surprised. "Huh? I saw you were on the terrace just now. It must be a little cold, right? Drink some hot water to warm yourself up." Zhou Tao cast a grateful glance at him. When Lu Wenzhou came out of the corridor, he saw the two of them looking at each other affectionately. The veins on his forehead jumped. Zhonglina came up to him again, "Brother Wenzhou." Lu Wenzhou heard her voice, but felt it was noisy. Zhou Tao looked at Zhonglina holding Lu Wenzhou's arm, with a sweet smile on her face. "Brother Wenzhou, my friend wants to get to know you, can you come with me?" After saying that, he pulled him towards the hall. Zhonglina looked back at Zhou Tao with a provocative smile. "I just heard that this woman wanted to hook up with Brother Wenzhou again in the bathroom. She is really a greedy woman who eats from the bowl and thinks about the pot. Do you think you can do whatever you want with a little bit of beauty? What are you dreaming about? Brother Wenzhou would not be fooled by such things." The waiter brought a cup of hot water. Zhou Tao held it in her hand and said gratefully to Junling, "Thank you." Junling waved his hands carelessly, "Don't be so outspoken. After all, we will be together for at least 3 months, but comrades on the same front should take care of each other." Zhou Tao always felt very relaxed when she was with Junling. She didn't have to go out of her way to please Lu Wenzhou and consider whether every word she said would offend him. Those days are so tiring, but I can persist for so long. Lu Wenzhou was surrounded by several celebrities. Those women looked at him shyly. Zhonglina looked at him with a sense of superiority. "Lisa, your family has invested in a movie that is about to be released. Tell Brother Wenzhou, what about his family? Maybe the movie theaters will arrange more movies." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 749. Lisa held her face and looked at Lu Wenzhou. "Is it really okay?" Lu Wenzhou just said, "No." After saying that, he walked out with a gloomy expression. All the ladies looked at Zhonglina meaningfully. Zhonglina brought Second Master Lu here just to announce to everyone that Second Master Lu gave her face and would try his best to satisfy her requests. But now, he rejected her mercilessly in front of everyone. The Plastic Sisters took pleasure in their misfortune. Zhonglina couldn't help but said, "Brother Wenzhou is not in a good mood. It's that Zhou Tao who tried to hook up with Brother Wenzhou in the bathroom just now. It must be because of this that Brother Wenzhou was unhappy." Everyone said "oh" meaningfully. Zhonglina felt that she was embarrassed and that Zhou Tao was the culprit, so she went to find Zhou Tao to settle the score. Wen Jiao is currently video chatting with Fu Nanli from Helsinki. Due to jet lag, the man above him in the video had just gotten up. He was wearing a black nightgown, his hair was a little messy, and his eyes were a little sleepy. He took a glass of soda water from the refrigerator, unscrewed the cap and took a few sips. "Where?" "The filming of Jade's Shop is about to start." The investors have held a party. Let's come and see it together. Fu Nanli chuckled, you really have to do everything yourself. Do you need your boss to do such a small thing? Idleness is also idleness. Wen Qiao's eyes suddenly turned sharp. Xiao Cheng always seemed to notice that I was chatting with you. He always wanted to get to know you through me. He came over, so I hung up first. Before Fu Nanli had time to say anything, the screen went black and the other party had hung up. He shook his head helplessly. Mr. Cheng rushed to Wen Qiao's side and said with a smile, "Are you chatting with Mr. Fu?" Wen Qiao smiled, "No, I'm chatting with my brother." Fu Nanli didn't like socializing the most, so she wouldn't find anything for him to do. Xiao Cheng always looked disappointed. "Ah, that's it?" Wen Qiao saw Zhonglina walking towards Zhou Tao aggressively with a glass of wine, and said quickly, "Sorry, I have to say a few words to my friend." Then he rushed to Zhou Tao. Zhonglina had an arrogant temper and was about to splash Zhou Tao's face with the wine. Wen Qiao couldn't catch it in time, but Junling stretched out his hand to protect Zhou Tao in his arms. All the wine spilled on his arm, splashing a few drops on Zhou Tao's face. Wen Qiao stepped forward and twisted Zhonglina's wrist. Zhonglina was in severe pain. When she let go, the wine glass shattered to the ground. Lu Wenzhou, who had returned, stood at the door of the villa and witnessed all this. Witnessed the scene of Junling protecting that woman in his arms again. The unexpected dazzling was really dazzling. Zhonglina gritted her teeth, "What are you doing? I should be the one asking you this." Wen Qiao's voice was sharp. Zhonglina was filled with indignation, her wrist bones ached terribly. She gritted her teeth and said, "Are you going to take care of this shameless woman?" Lu Yuyo said from the side, "A lesson? Who do you think you are? When has it been your turn to teach the artists of our company a lesson?" Zhonglina wanted to shake off Wen Qiao's hand, but the woman's hand was so strong that she felt like her bones were about to break. "If she wants to hook up with Brother Wenzhou, I have to take care of her. She is trying to get along with her every day. I want to make this circle." Wen Qiao twisted hard, and Zhonglina burst into tears instantly. Wen Qiao said coldly, "It's not your turn to take care of Zhou Tao's affairs. If you really want to take care of it, go take care of your Lu Wenzhou. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 750. Zhonglina retorted, "Wen Qiao, do you think you can do whatever you want with Fu Nanli? You are a villain. Wen Qiao, I can deal with you without relying on Fu Nanli. I'm just talking about the matter." Wen Qiao taught Zhonglina a lesson, and no one else dared to come forward. No one in the celebrity circle knew that Fu Nanli doted on his little girlfriend. Except for Lu Wenzhou, no one dared to fight against Fu Nanli to death. Wen Qiao, apologized to Zhou Tao. "Zhonglina, why should I?" Lu Wenzhou had already walked up to them, and Zhonglina seemed to see a savior. "Brother Wenzhou, please save me quickly, my hands hurt so much." Wen Qiao was unmoved. She was like a newborn calf not afraid of tigers. She was not afraid of Lu Wenzhou even without Fu Nanli's support. Lu Yuyo said from the side, "Second Master Lu." Zhonglina splashed water on Zhou Tao and was blocked by Junling, so she barely suffered any harm. "Let's ask her to apologize. It's not too much." With Wen Qiao around, Lu Yuyo became hardened. Lu Wenzhou looked at Zhonglina. Zhou Tao looked at Lu Wenzhou. Just when Lu Wenzhou was about to speak, she picked up a glass of red wine and threw it in Zhonglina's face. Then she grabbed Wen Qiao's hand and said, "Okay, let's go." Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows and then let go of Zhonglina's hand. Zhonglina couldn't believe that this 18-year-old dared to be so arrogant and dared to throw red wine at her in front of everyone. "Brother Wenzhou, you have to make the decision for me." Zhou Tao and the others had already reached the door, each took their coats and went out. Lu Wenzo didn't say anything about making the decision for Zhonglina. The host, Mr. Chang, quickly brought a towel over and said, "Lena, wipe it quickly. Do you want to go into the bathroom and wash it?" Zhonglina looked at Lu Wenzo aggrievedly. "You didn't even help me." Lu Wenzo said indifferently, "She didn't hook up with me. Don't embarrass her again in the future." After that, he walked directly outside the villa. Everyone was a little surprised. Mr. Lu actually clarified for the 18th line. The style of painting feels a bit strange. Outside the villa, Junling put the three girls into the car and leaned over to look at Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao looked at him with a smile. "Thank you for blocking me." "Junling, I told you not to be polite to me." The car door closed and the black car slowly drove away from the beach villa. Lu Yuyo sat in the passenger seat and looked back at Zhou Tao. "Why didn't you let Lu Wenzo force Zhonglina to apologize just now?" Zhou Tao smiled, "Because I know Lu Wenzo, he won't let Zhonglina apologize, he will only make me more embarrassed, so before he speaks, I might as well save myself." Lu Yuyo was a little dumbfounded. "Don't say that either." Zhou Tao smiled and said nothing more. Wen Qiao patted her shoulder gently. "This movie is a good one. I hope it will be an instant hit." Zhou Doking responded, "Yeah." In another black car, Junling's assistant, his cousin, said to him, "Are you really interested in Zhou Tao?" Sister Fang said, "You can't fall in love now." Junling chuckled, "Do you really think I like Zhou Tao?" Cousin Huang Xian glanced at him while driving. "I see that you are very enthusiastic towards her. Just now you blocked the red wine that Miss Zhong poured over her. You are extremely attentive." Junling played with the mobile phone in his hand. "I think Lu Wenzo and Mr. Lu seem to be a little weird towards her. There's something wrong with that look in his eyes. He must be someone he knows."